Hi all. Today I'm going to discuss memo writing. How to write a memo and what is memo and which are the situation that you have to write memo. Okay. So did you heard about memos? Of course you might heard about it. So what is a memo? Memos are business communications within an organization, department or institution. So basically, what is a memo? Memos are business communication within an organization, department or institution. ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെൻറ്റ് അല്ല ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ നടക്കുന്ന ബിസിനസ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷനെയാണ് മെമ്മോസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay, so memos are meant to inform, to persuade, and to above all to communicate to satisfy readers' needs and the writer's purpose. So, what is the purpose of memo? Memos are used for what? Memos are used for inform or to persuade, above all to communicate. So memos are used for giving information, to persuade someone or to communicate with a person or a group of people. Okay, so memos are meant to inform, to persuade and to above all to communicate to the readers. Okay, so when do you send memos? That's a question. When do you send memos? So when you want to convey information to a group of people or a single committee, a department or the entire company, you have to send a memo. So if you want to send a message to a department or a committee or a group of people, you have to send memo. And typical messages include, so what are the things included in memos? What are the topics that is written in memos? Okay, so what is that? So if any changes in company policies, that head of the company will definitely send a memo to the employees, okay, or to the staff. So if a changes in company policy, employee, if memos writes about employee benefits, if they introduce any new employee benefits, they will send memos to the employees. And notices of meeting, if a meeting is arranged, definitely they will send a memo to the staffs. And special outing, if they organize a special outing or planned an outing, they definitely send a memo to the staff out there. And company events, announcement of new appointments, promotions, transfer, reminders of employees of action they need to take, and general statement on the status of the company. So in these situations, memos memos are written. In these situations, usually memos are written. Okay, so if the head of the organization or the principal want to convey a message to the staff or teachers or any particular group, definitely they will send memos. It's a business communication within an organization or a department or an entire college or a company. Okay, so a memo should not be sent in these situations. So if you are a person, your emotions are running too high, don't write memos at that point of time. Okay, when the timing in political climate is wrong, you should not write memos. Then person to person communication serves you better, then you should avoid writing memos. Instead, you have to meet that person and communicate. And if you want someone's immediate reaction, don't write memos because it will take time to get that reply. So if you want someone's immediate reaction, you will definitely go for person to person communication. Okay, so a memo should not be sent when a person to person communication serves your purpose better. If you want someone's immediate reaction, your emotions are running too high, when the timing and political climate is wrong. So avoid writing memos in these situations. Okay. Then benefits of learning memos. Effective memos. What are the benefits of learning to write effective memos? What are the benefits? So if you are an expert in writing memos, that definitely make you a great communicator, and it build a reputation as an expert. And also You will definitely become an information manager. You can become a information manager if you are expert in writing memos or effective memos, and you can also protect yourself politically. So those are the benefits of learning effective memos. Okay, then look at here. Here is an example of a memo, but there are some faults in this memo, so we can analyze it. So here, to is there. To means to whom you are writing the memo, to whom you want to communicate. So here all division managers are the group of persons to whom Alice George, the vice president, want to send memos. So to is there, then from is there, from whom, who is the sender. Okay, from. Then subject is there, here it is documentation. Then date is there, then content. So to, from, then subject, date. This is the pattern of a memo writing. And the content, the content are actually divided in paragraphs. You can divide it in 3 paragraphs, 2 paragraphs, or even a single paragraph. It's up to you. So to is there, from, subject, date, and content. So here it is, to is all division managers, from Alice George, vice president, subject is documentation, and date is, here it is given. Then, although word of mouth is a great way of spread a rumor, it's not the best means of conducting business in our division. Once again, we have an ongoing disagreement about budget expenditure because someone gave their approval verbally rather than in writing. After the last disaster, I thought everyone knew better, but this is apparently not the case. As a result, what should have been a minor issue is getting way out of hand. I want all managers to make sure they get decisions in writing to prevent this kind of mishap in the future. So pass this directive along to your supervisors. Let's not have another dispute over what someone may or may not have said. Put it in writing. So this is the memo. So there are some mistakes in this memos. We can analyze it. So this memo actually was written in the heat of emotion. You can evidently see that this memo was written in the heat of emotion. So I told you, if you are running with a high emotion, don't write memos. Okay, so here we mentioned that a memo should not be sent if your emotion are running too high. So here we can evidently see that this memo was written in the heat of emotion. That he says at the first paragraph itself, although word of mouth is a great way to spread rumor, it's not the best means of conducting business in our division. Once again, we have an ongoing disagreement about budget expenditure because someone gave their approval verbally rather than in writing. So he is explaining things emotionally. So it should not be there in memos. Means you should not write memos if you are running with high emotions. Okay. So another thing is that the subject line gives no real idea of the memo's purpose. Here the subject is given as documentation. So we don't know what our documentation is actually a broad category. So we didn't get a proper idea about the subject. Just it is given documentation. So we don't get a real idea about the subject here. So instead of giving just documentation, he has to give more about the subject. Subject should be direct. The person who is reading the subject, they can easily identify what it meant. But here it is just given documentation. So the subject line gives no real idea of the memo's purpose here. So it is a fault. Okay. Then the first paragraph, we should announce the purpose, actually describes the situation. It is disagreements about budget expenditure because of a lack of documentation. So the reader doesn't get a clear idea about the point of the memo. So from here we didn't get a proper idea about the purpose of the memo or the what the memo is written. We didn't get that idea. So again the memo is confusing. What is the minor issue is. So here it is mentioned that there is a rumor spreading, there is a minor issue, etc. But we don't get what is actually the minor issue, what is the rumors, okay, what is the disagreement, and we don't get a real idea about these things. Then the memo offers no guidance to solve the problem. Here there is no solution is mentioned. So the memo offers no guidance to solve the problem. So it's actually a mistake. Then finally the memo contains spelling errors. So like division, here it is, there is a spelling error here, then mishap, spelling error, so it is easily caught. So you have to be very familiar, you have to be very clear, or you have to be make sure that every spelling and grammar is correct when writing a memo. Okay, so there are three steps in memo writing. What are they? You have to determine the purpose, topic, and reader's need the memo serves. So you have to be sure about what is the purpose of writing memo, and what is the topic, and what is the need. Then organizing and writing, then review and writing. It's very important to review a memo. Then you have to revise and review the memo and check for the corrections. Okay, any if you have written any mistakes, you have to correct it and revise it and review it and send that memo. Then memo should be the answer of four questions. What are the four questions? Always remember that if you are writing a memo, that memo should contain the answers of these four questions. What are the four questions? So the first one is, what is the purpose of this message and why am I writing? So you have an idea about, clear idea about the purpose of writing that memo. Why am I writing this memo? Okay, that is the first question. And the second one is, who is the audience and whom do I want to inform or influence? You have to be very clear about these things. Who is the audience and whom do you want to inform? Whom do you want to influence? So you have to be very clear about the audience. Then the first thing is purpose, second thing is audience, and the third, what does the message mean to them? We have to be very clear about the message. Then what action or response do I want from the reader? What action or response that I expect from the reader? So a memo should be the answer of these four questions. So be clear or be sure about these things, okay, while writing a memo. Then here is an example. This is actually the correct memo of I have told you about the mistakes in the previous memo. So now look at here. Two is actually the same, all division managers, from Alice Fisher, vice president. Then subject, guidelines for improving documentation. So he is sure about the subject. What is the subject of this memo? Guidelines for improving documentation. He is providing the guideline for improving documentation. What are they? Then the content, I am asking your help to improve written documentation of our division activities. Over the past 3 months alone, we have had several disagreements over expense items that were approved verbally but not writing. So he's mentioned the problem. These arguments held up production as a key consumer item. For the smooth operation of our division and for our own protection, keep written files copies of all important decisions and actions taken by you and your staff. So he is giving a solution for the problem. That is, he says that you have to keep a written file copy of all important decisions and actions taken by you and your staff. So that is a solution. So here he mentioned the problem, he mentioned the solution, and these includes agreements, approvals, solution to problems, reprimands, commendations, directions, minutes of meeting, and be like these things. And the form of documentation may vary depending on the circumstances. So for most occasions, a typed and signed letter or report is appropriate. So in some cases, a handwritten note will be acceptable provided it is legible and dated. So please make sure your supervisors understand when documentation is necessary and the proper procedures to follow. So this is the correct way of writing a memo. Okay, so I hope you understood these things. So refer the two memos and what are the mistakes and what is the correct way of writing a memo. Okay, so write down these notes and try to understand this. If you have any doubts and queries, please ask me. Feel free to ask me. Okay, thank you.